coming in at the top interview here. Today I have Kyle Kidd, and holy crap, Kyle can sing. This is insane. When Gall sent me the list for virtual show CLE, which is happening this Friday, 8 p.m., Kyle Kidd and Casey Barget, I was checking out Kyle's stuff and just was blown away with the voice coming from Kyle. This is, yeah. I don't know how Zoom's gonna handle it. It's gonna blow up. It's gonna be insane. You gotta tune in and check this one out. Kyle is everywhere. Kyle's career is blowing up, playing all over the States, in Paris, England, recording movies, playing in operas, hanging out with the Algiers, playing in Mourning at BLKstar. You guys, this is insane. Just check it. Here's Kyle Kidd. And before you get to Kyle Kidd, I keep forgetting to do this. Please like, subscribe, comment, leave us a review on Apple for the podcast. It's going to help this get seen and help the artists get heard by more. Thank you, Kyle Kidd. All right, friends, where's that Zig at the Gig podcast? I'm hanging out with Kyle Kidd. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, snap. I'm good. My drive just unplugged, but that's fine. I'm good. I'm trying to navigate the madness of being quarantined and, like, oh, man, today was like, I slept in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My day gig's a teacher. So for the last 5 years, I teach an adapted music course for kids with autism.
Okay.
And I started doing that while I was going to school. So the last 5 years has been waking up at 3, 5, and 4 in the morning. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So now that I get time to sleep in, my body's like used to being like, you're going to need it. Monday's coming up. And I'm like, oh.
Yes.
So today my alarm didn't go off, and I woke up, and I had to do the first interview with Case. And I'm like, oh. So I'm just like, go.
Right.
But yeah, how have you been handling quarantine?
You know what? I've been taking it easy. I've been staying busy as I possibly can. I'm used to being on the go. So I'm cooking a lot.
Nice.
I'm going out for walks a lot, just around my neighborhood or like on a nature trail or something like that, and cooking more. And I've started some gardening. I used to garden a lot when I was younger with my grandmother, and life happened and it got away from me. So here I am entering back into that space. So it's been pretty good.
That's awesome. Out of all the madness, I think there's going to be a lot of self-healing and like appreciation for each other. It's as much as all this horrible shit is going on. I think there's going to be a lot of good from it.
For sure. I know I've been taking time. I struggled with the month of February, while I was home. I ended up getting laryngitis, and I had it for about 4 weeks. So I was supposed to be back on the road in London.
Yeah.
And I was kind of anxious because I didn't know how I was going to do that.
Yeah.
With me just coming, and it's a muscle, so you got to work it out in order to get it back in shape and stuff like that. And I didn't have the time, so I was like nervous about that. And then this happened, and I was kind of like, it was kind of bittersweet because I was kind of like, I wanted to be in London and continue my life, but now I've been able to really go on voice rest and take care of myself. So it's kind of like a bittersweet thing for me.
What was that? You're gonna come back like swinging. It's gonna jump right back into it.
I'm here. I'm ready. I've been working on a lot of things, just behind the scenes, preparing for once things lighten up for us. So all of my promotional things that I wanted to get done, like things that I hadn't been able to do, also because I've been busy, I've been able to pay attention to. So again, it's been like bittersweet, but
So you've been doing a lot of so you were in London, you were in Paris.
I was supposed to go to London. I did not make it to London due to the pandemic, but I was in Paris. Yes.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of pictures on Instagram, and it looked like it was a blast.
It was amazing.
How did you start playing? Well, you're from Cleveland, right?
Yes.
So
born and raised.
How did you start performing in Cleveland and getting to play in Paris? That's a big question. I know. So we're gonna.
It's hilarious. So I've always been a vocalist. Since a young child, I was very much in the musical theater. My father was a pastor, so I was, of course,
Yeah.
started in the church. But after I went to college and I studied vocal performance for a while, I
Where'd
left
you go?
school and I went to University of Akron.
Okay.
And I kind of got wild, like every other college student who grows up with parents as educators and a pastor. And so I kind of took on the idea of wanting to pursue music in a different way. And I joined Mourning a Black Star late 2015.
Okay.
And from that, we started touring and things like that. And the individual that I started going to doing operas with by the name of Richard Kennedy. I met him on Instagram.
Wow.
Actually, we met probably in September. I want to say September of last year. And Morning of Black Star was actually going on tour. And he came to see us when we were in New York, and
Where'd
like
you
right
guys
on the spot, he
Where'd you guys
kind
play
of
in New
was.
York? Sorry.
Oh, I can't remember the name of the venue. It was in Brooklyn. We always play
Okay.
in Brooklyn. We normally play at Secret Project Robot, but this time around we did not because Secret Project Robot, I believe, was closed at that time. I can't remember the name of it, but it was in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And Richard came out to see me. That was our first time meeting. And at the end of and everything that possibly could have went wrong with that show, it was a DIY show, went wrong. None of the mics worked. So
Oh
we
God.
kind of were just passing around one mic between all the vocalists and
You guys
making
got a
it
lot of
work.
vocalists too.
Exactly. So, but it was a fun, very, very fun experience. And at the end of the show, Richard came up to me and said, "All right, I'm going to go, but um, do you want to go to Richmond, Virginia and do an opera in November?"
Oh.
I said, "Sure." So I went I went out there and met the rest of the company who he's working with, and we've been like family ever since. Um, and the next thing was to go to Paris. We went to Paris and filmed a movie. Um,
Whoa.
and yeah, it's been kind of fast paced ever since.
What do can you say the movie? Can you plug it? Is it out? Can we see it?
It's not completely out, but it will be out
Okay.
this year. They premiered some of the audio and visual content. What was it? 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was in New York. I was in New York rehearsing for the opera that we're doing in London, and it's the film is called Mask Off, but with the subtitle, you can't have any barbecue sauce if you didn't get chicken nuggets. If you didn't order chicken nuggets, I'm sorry. And it's it's
it's
it's
true.
amazing. It's a real story, and
Oh man, that's
it's
awesome.
it's it's amazing. So for any of your listeners, I definitely will recommend that they follow Richard Kennedy. It's Mr. Richard Kennedy on Instagram. He has some amazing things coming up, and they can follow the movie as it develops. And we're still in the process of filming it. We were just in Paris, but we're going to continue filming more as we're going to all these different countries. So
Wow, okay. That's a lot to unpack in the first opening bit. You are active and going at it, and that is amazing. Wow. Like,
it's,
okay.
it's, it's, it was very unexpected, but it's everything. I left my job about 2 years ago.
What were you
Working at
doing?
the.
Oh, sorry.
I was no, you're okay. I was over the youth and young adult program at the LGBT Center of Greater Cleveland, providing programming and independent living skills and support groups for our youth and young adults, ranging from about 13 to 24. And so I left that during that full time to be a full time musician and artist, touring and things like that. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it
So
just kind of took off.
you were already being a superhero before you went to go be a superhero. But damn,
I
that's
mean,
amazing. No, that's an important an important organization, and there's a lot of people that need that help and support. And like, a lot of things in life just takes hearing from somebody who's gone through it or is going through it to listening. As big as it is for music, is
Excuse me.
as it is for everything in life. So that's
Yeah.
incredible. That's an incredible.
It
So you,
was it's been a fun journey.
wow. Okay. So did you when you left your job? Were you at that time playing with Mourning a Black Star,
Yeah,
or
so that
okay?
was one of the biggest reasons that I left my job, because Morning a Black Star um, was taking off in a different way than it was before, and our touring schedule was a bit more demanding and just gigging. Um, and so I wanted to be able to dedicate myself
Yeah.
to that and open up myself to having the space to take on more. Um, and it was just kind of like, wanting to fall into what I wanted to be my reality.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got there, and I got a lot of community support. Um, and it just turned out great. And so I feel like it prepared me for situations like this as well, to not kind of not really know what's going to happen, but like trusting the process and trusting myself to see it through and make the proper, and well, I don't want to say proper because nothing within this
Yeah.
situation is necessarily considered proper, but making the necessary adjustments for myself to see myself you know making it through this. So
For sure. There's no in anything you want to do in life, I feel there's no clear cut path, even if it is like a career in accounting or whatever it is. There's standards, but the standards don't always apply to like
exactly.
getting your reality to be your what you want it to be. And
Exactly.
so that's okay. So with Morning a Black Star, I know Feek pretty well. He was
Hmm.
married to my best friend's mom, Liz.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
my friend Gabe, we kind of grew up with Feek a bit, and like I don't know, did he start Mourning a Black Star or did
He
he
did.
join? Okay,
No, so he started Morning a Black Star in late 2015, and it was originally um, uh, him and Latoya Kent and James Longs, and they were already a band. And so my plans were to move to LA. Like, I was preparing myself to move to LA, and I just was kind of like looking to get into some things.
yeah,
Um, and until it was time for me to move. And so Latoya Kent, who is my god sister, she was like, well, I'm in this band and we're about to do our first show, we need a background vocalist, would you be interested? I said sure. So I went to a rehearsal and I sang background parts, kind of created them there. And Rafi kept telling me, like, well, sing a little more. Let me hear you, what are you singing over there? And so I was like, just singing whatever I wanted, kind of
yeah.
situation. And we get to the actual show, which was like that following weekend or something like that. And
Do you
he
remember
hands
where
me
it
a
was at?
microphone. Hmm?
Do you remember where it was at?
It was at Mahal's. It was at
Nice.
Mahal's, in the basement
Okay.
in the locker room, and he walked up to me and another person who was singing with us at the time, with a box, and it was wrapped and it had a microphone in it once I opened it, and he said, welcome to the band, you're officially in the
Oh,
band. And I looked at him, and I kind of, me being the person I am, I was like, well, how are you going to tell me what I'm in or what I'm doing? And
yeah.
you know and he kind of just looked at me and was like, you're in the band. And the rest is history. Their album was done.
Yeah.
The Black Music, which was our first studio recording, was done. And we had to go back into the studio weeks later so that I could record and be on that album. So
What did that look like, if you don't mind me asking? Did you guys go to a? I remember, so a long time ago, me, Gabe, and our friend Ben, and our friend Nikki recorded with Feek at Zombie Proof Studio.
that's
Which,
where we recorded it.
okay, on the reel to reel, and we just he said lay me down a groove, a track, and he had lyrics he just put on top of it, and it was when
Yep.
Feek was doing Thurston Moore's
Yep.
label, and like he had this song about Kim, and like So we were that band, me, Gabe, and Nikki and Ben.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I haven't heard those recordings since then, so I don't know if they still exist. So okay, so you go to Zombie Proof, which is an experience with itself
It
because of the
is.
reel, and you gotta like, I can't remember who is the engineer. It's that guy
Paul.
Paul. Yeah, Paul.
Yes.
Oh man, Paul was awesome. But okay, so you go in there, everything's tracked. I don't know what that looks like analog to add someone in, but
So what happened was I kind of basically got my own individualized songs that he created. And so we just went and added more tracks.
okay.
Um and the funny story about that is that was kind of, so I was there when they originally recorded that project. I just didn't know what it was. Like I was just there observing.
Yeah.
And so it was down the line that I was asked to sing background. But so this was my second time kind of meeting Paul. And so um we went to go like set up, the recording and stuff. And I get there and we go to record the music. And so I start singing and Paul like stops the track and turns around and looks and says, okay, so Feek, we're going to have to figure this out because um, Kyle's going to blow my microphones and my speakers.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to sing from the hallway. You've been in there before. I ended
Yeah.
up having to sing my tracks from the hallway because Paul was like, yeah, you're just going to blow my stuff out. Like, I've never recorded someone with a voice like yours. And so that's my funny story about recording with Paul and
That's
Feek for the first
awesome.
time.
That's amazing.
And so we ended up getting black music.
That's so cool. Were you in that? I know they have two rooms. They have the kind of living room, and then so you were in the hall that was like in between where the control room was, right?
I was where the steps were.
Okay, that's
I was where the
awesome.
steps are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as Gall told me that I'd be interviewing you, I started checking you out, like, and looking on your page, and I'm like, holy crap! I don't even know how you're gonna do Gall's show. I don't know how
Yeah,
you're gonna do.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting.
You're gonna blow
It's
it
gonna
up.
be interesting.
You're gonna blow it up. It's gonna be amazing. Like,
It's gonna be fun. Well, and the thing about it is, I feel like I love situations like this because it challenges me as a vocalist. Sometimes when I go places, I'm always brought in as the loud, very powerhouse vocalist, and now I get to like kind of experiment with all the different positions or departments that my vocal ability has or can be. So we'll see. It might be
yeah.
an epic fail on my part. It might be good. We'll see.
You know, on your part, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna kill it. It's gonna be great. And what's
We'll
great about
see.
the live streaming thing is like, wow, the stream, it just can't. It's the audio, and no one's gonna blame the artist. They're gonna blame the medium.
Right.
So you're
Well,
fine.
it is what it is. So thank you, though. I'm going to see. We'll see.
Because I did the second one, and it's a really cool experience. It's a really cool.
I haven't been able to catch like full ones, but I've been able to like experience just off of what's been posted or, so I'm really, really excited to see how it turns out. People have been asking me, for the past 2 weeks, like, when are you going to do a virtual concert? And I'm like, I'm waiting. I want it to be right. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to do this and be a part of just this amazing thing that I think offers artists an opportunity to continue to do what we are committed to doing.
For sure. And I think I think it's important what you said there that you're waiting, because I feel like a lot of people are like, look at me, I'm live, and
Yeah.
And the more people kind of manically just throw stuff out there, they're not giving the time to develop how they want to present themselves, if that makes sense.
For sure. And that's been exactly what I've been trying to do is make sure that everything that I put out as an artist falls how I want it to fall with the control that I do have. I can't control everything, but it's always a representation of me and a representation of the art that I create. And also the setup is not going to be what I normally do,
Yeah.
I will be bringing in a friend of mine who I've actually been touring with doing the operas. Her name is Rashonda Reeves. She is the MD as well as an amazing, amazing pianist. So we've been working on some stuff. She's in Texas right now. She escaped New York
Nice. Good, good.
before they shut down. So she's in Texas, and we've kind of been FaceTiming and rehearsing every day.
How's that look like? Is there a lag? Does it pan out all right?
There is a small lag, but we're pushing through. We're trying to make sure it works, and we've been exploring all the different possible ways that we can go about it on our end.
Yeah.
To make it work, in our favor. But like you said earlier, it's only so much we can do, and so we're just gonna work it out.
Yeah, the fact that you even make an effort, one, I feel like for both partners, you're like, oh, finally, interaction. I'm still doing what I do. I think that's more important maybe than how the rehearsal goes.
Well, and I think again, this is important for artists because a lot of people are struggling just with the idea of that we've given up our lives of being quote unquote, I guess, normal, having a 9 to 5, if there is a such thing as normal, committing ourselves to our art. And so this is what we live, so to not be able to do that. And, for me, I lost all of my gigs within a matter of like 48 hours. I'm
there with you 100%.
Yeah, so you get it, like it was email after email after email. Like I said, I was supposed to be in London, and then I was supposed to come back and tour with Mourning a Black Star, supporting Oshun, as well as U.S. Girls. So that was going to be about 2 weeks of touring as well. And then I was going to turn right back around and go to Paris. So to have like all of those things and other things in between that, like literally just be canceled, and then you start to think like, okay, how am I going to pay my rent?
Yeah.
So, this is healing. This is a great opportunity for, everybody involved, I think. And again, I'm excited to just, be able to feed myself or my spirit with being able to, do this.
Definitely. And it's like this whole break reprieve is kind of important too. Like, because that touring schedule, I don't know, how many dates were you looking at when you were in London? Like, you're going that far, it's got to be a few.
Yeah. So I was going to be in London. Let me think. I was going to be in London for 10 days.
10 days? How many shows?
And then I was turning back around. I was going to have, I think, probably like 9 days until we started really, really honing in to prepare to go on tour with Oshun first. And then coming off of tour with Oshun, we would have went straight into U.S. Girls. So,
gotcha.
So
that's a hustle. That's a road dogging for sure.
Yeah, but that's what I love. I love it, and it's hard. A lot of people see it as, like, oh, you're just out having fun and you're raging and you're being a superstar, and I'm like, no, I'm actually looking like, okay, how am I going to eat? Like, because none of it. It's all DIY.
Yeah.
It's figuring it out yourself.
Yeah, which is badass because like. When you go on tour, there's like social media perception is that it's like, oh, these guys, they made it. They're out there. They're hitting the road. You're like, no, I'm at this spot in Brooklyn, which has a notorious amount of DIY spots, some of which are really cool. Like me and Gall, actually, who put this on, we did like 2 years ago, we did a run in New York, and we did like 7 shows in 4 days, and like 4 of them were like DIY spots. One was like a venue, and then and then some mic nights in between. But like, there's so much happening in Brooklyn, which is really cool. But that's how you go. You got to go out there. You got to hit the DIYs. You got to meet the bands so you can get in the venues and go out there and you keep hustling. And maybe by like the 16th tour, you're actually making a little bit to pay for the ride home.
Well, and I think, like you said, like there's this glorified, romanticized idea of what touring and being on the road as an artist is, and it's not that. Yeah. I mean, Mourning a Black Star alone is we're 8 people.
Yeah, that's so, a couple cars.
Well, and we get a van, but like being in a van for the majority of the time, and then like the housing, and getting lodging for 8 people, whether it's for one night or a weekend or whatever, is expensive. But
Hmm.
you don't have alone time, so you have to find the balance in that as well, so that you can stay sane.
Yeah.
You know, but like the times we're living in now, like I'm excited to be on tour and be, you know, bundled up in a van with 8 people, because it means human contact and being around people.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
you take those moments for granted, but it's not glorified. And a lot of times, our first few tours that we did, there was no taking any money home. Everything went back into, the band fund, to make
Yeah.
sure when we turn around, we can pay for our album that we're going to be recording next, or, making sure that all the cosmetic things of just keeping a band together are taken care of. Like, is a million things
Yeah.
that, we have to put our money towards before we can pay ourselves.
Yeah, you
So,
got to pay for your URL. You can't book gigs unless you have a website. Apparently,
yeah.
I play in a band called Sea Level, letter C dash,
Okay.
and
Okay.
we've
I feel like I've heard of you all
we've
before.
definitely we have played High Top together a few times.
Okay.
and
Yeah.
You guys played at the music shop right after we played at the dog whatever by the I can't remember that whatever was next to the movie theater. Cedar and
Okay.
Lee last year, and I know we played it this year, but on different days. We've been running circles a lot, and
I was
like,
gonna say that's. I love that though. Like, I love the idea of almost running in circles and not being able to catch one another, because it means that people are working,
yeah,
and people are able to create their art and make their music. And as much as I would love to be there to support a lot of my other friends who are performing, it always comes back to, well, we're busy.
yeah,
And because there are a lot of times where artists aren't able to be busy and aren't able to get work. So I always get excited when we're running in circles trying to catch one another.
no, 100%. It's cool. It kind of it reminds me of this quote from Joe Strummer, where he summed up: "It's there's enough room for everybody to do their music and be able to fill out a stadium."
It is.
And
It
like
is.
you can be doing your style, I can be doing my style in the same time, the same town, and we can both fill up the queue if it's done. If it's done
And
right.
seriously. And I love that, because I think even in this time, supporting one another and finding ways to support one another to keep our heads above water. Like, I know we have a group text between the band, and we, try and talk on a regular basis of like, hey, who has an album coming out this week? Like, let's buy it as a band. And then if you want to buy it individually as well, you should buy it individually. Like, we are really trying to encourage one another and keep it as a unit, to make sure that we are purchasing all, if well, I'm not going to say all, but as much as we can, of artists who are independent, releasing music and art. Like, how can we support them as a unit? Um,
What is it?
and that's important, because you got to support your friends, especially showing them that you believe in what they're doing and that they have support, because it can be hard. It can be extremely hard. I know I've been trying to record and put something out for the longest, and I always get stuck up like, is this worth buying? Will people buy it? Like, do I even really like it?
Yeah.
Can I make a career as a vocalist? Can I really sing? So,
Yeah. Sorry, just a little, a little. Yeah, you
well,
can.
but that comes with the natural just imposter syndrome of like, wanting
know.
something so bad and
Yeah.
not knowing, the things we do, or the things we put in our head, of doubting ourselves.
Yeah, you're your
So,
biggest critic for sure. No matter
of
if you're
course,
doing
of
something creative,
course,
you just knock yourself down, and like
of course.
believing in yourself is a big deal, and it's a hard muscle to like develop, and like the be able to say yeah, I like it, it's cool, maybe it's not 100% there, but it's good, next.
Well, and that's the funny part about RA and my relationship is, when we go in and record, he's
With
always like,
Feek.
we're just gonna do one take.
Yeah, I just wanted
We're
for
gonna
our
do one
listeners,
take.
RA Washington is
Oh yeah,
also Feek.
I'm sorry, Feek.
But
Um, Yeah, and he's always like, let's
He's
just do one take. It's gonna, it's just raw expression. And I'm the type of person like, no, let's go back, let's go back, let's go back. And
I'm with you
so
there. I'm
that's
100%.
always been our thing. So a lot of times, I listen to our records and um I'm happy, but of course I'm breaking it away. Like I could have gone back and redid this. But when you're
Yeah.
recording to, tape, there's no like
That one take
chopping it
thing
in.
becomes a little more drastic for sure.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there's definitely a mindset to be had with that. I think a good balance of let me do it again and that was it is the
Yeah.
key. I think with whatever, a balance is the key. And I think one that was definitely something I learned with working with Paul and Feek was, yep, that was it. Okay, what? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, moving. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and
And
I think this is just for anybody. Um if you want to go listen back to Black Music, which was our first album, and every song on there is one take.
one take.
So I'm happy with that
Yeah.
because, I can break it apart, but I'm very pleased with what came out.
That's all.
So
And you could say it was all one take. That's pretty badass.
it was all one take. It was all one take. So you get to hear it all, all the emotion and all the cracking and all the mistakes that I made. It was all in one take.
That's
So,
cool. That's so badass. Going back to one thing that's badass that as a unit, Mourning a Black Star is going out and supporting local, and I think knowing Feek more so than anyone out of the group, I think that. Do you think that kind of comes from the guide the culture mentality? And is guide the culture still around, or did that stop a couple years ago?
Guide to Culture is no longer around as a brick and mortar, but all of the energy and the essence of Guide to Culture is still very, very much present. I feel like it's embedded in through and through of the culture of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland is in the midst of a renaissance, and I feel like you can't speak of the renaissance of Cleveland right now without speaking of Guide to Culture or even speaking of Feek, because so much of what he's done and anyone who was a part of that organization, we're seeing all of the things that are blooming and coming about now from any avenue of art, whether it's visual or, literature or anything. So it's very much, us wanting to do that is very much from rooted from that, but also all of us work in the community individually with whatever work we do. So that's just something we've committed to because our community, our Cleveland community has supported us so much.
Yeah.
Going to South by Southwest, we needed support, and people rallied behind us and donated.
How was that
on so many different levels?
as a side
I'm sorry.
note? How was that as a side note?
Oh, South by Southwest. It was amazing. It was so fun. We learned the do's and don'ts of what what we need to do in order to go forward. We really rallied as a family of making sure that everyone was taken care of and everybody felt comfortable. But also just being in a space where you have independent artists all going for it and meeting new people. And we got to see some of our old friends. We released our most recent release with Don Giovanni Records, and we were on the Don Giovanni official showcase.
Wow.
But we had toured with Lee Baines and the Glorifiers, who's also on Don Giovanni Records.
They're from Alabama, right?
Yep.
So,
yep.
Okay, I think I may have met you at their show opening for Mike Watt at the Grog Shop.
You did. You probably did because I was there.
I think I was standing right by you because I'm a big Mike Watt fan, and they came on. I'm like, I'm a big fan now, and then you guys are all there, and then like you came up and you sang with them, which was so cool, and like, oh yeah, because he was. What's the lead singer of
Lee Baines?
Lee, yeah, well, duh. um, Lee was like, he was hyping in between every song. I was like, yeah, oh, this. He was just like, he had this way of hyping up a crowd, and like that was an
Lee.
amazing show. And then you guys came up and made it more amazing. Oh man! And then and then
Yes.
Mike Watt. I don't know if you're a Watt fan, but he came up and did just a Minuteman set, which is like amazing. Like that was like probably the best show I've seen this year. Was
I
that
was
whole
not
bill?
familiar with him before that experience, but I'm definitely a fan now. But just to speak about Lee, it was so funny. We were touring. It was a Southern tour. It was Mourning a Black Star, Lee Baines and the Glorifiers, and Algiers, which that was our second time touring with Algiers.
Yeah, I got
Um,
some questions about that, but
oh yeah, sure. And so we met Lee Baines, and it was so funny. Um, they obviously them being from Alabama and everything, we're just kind of like, all right, so what's up with Lee Baines? Like, what kind of music is this? And so we got down there, and the moment we met, like it was just like instant like family. And Lee and I hung out like one on one for a lot of the trip, and just really locked in as just like connecting on a personal level, first through music, but outside of that. And then to be at South by Southwest with them was a very sacred experience for us because um, they're just amazing. They're amazing people. And like you said, he can get any crowd going. He has an amazing talent. The whole band is just so amazing. And so um, that was one of the highlights for me of being there, and also just hanging out with some more of our label mates who we connected with instantly. So I just love them, love them. And I want to encourage any of your followers to follow Lee Baines and the Glorifiers as well, because they are
I
doing it.
will second that notion and plug them in along with everything because those guys are amazing.
So amazing, and the sweetest people. Like every time we get together, we have this running joke, always saying like, anytime we get together, it's a family reunion, and it truly is. It truly is. So I love them.
That's okay. It's all coming. I forgot. I talked to you a little bit at that show too, because I
I
remember.
remember now that you're saying something.
I remember. I remember you going up there singing with them and seeing Feek behind me and saying, "What's up to Feek?" Because I haven't seen him in a while at that point. And there
Mm-hmm.
was a member of your band. I didn't catch. I introduced myself to him too, but he had this like denim jacket with like a moon that like. Well,
William
okay,
Washington.
yeah,
Yep.
so I met him. I was like, dude, sick jacket. This show's amazing. You know these guys? And then he's like,
Yes.
yeah, we're from. I'm like, oh, I know you guys too. This is crazy.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that
It's
that
all love. It's
that
all
was
love.
such an amazing show, and like you can tell all that love and all that like compassion for each other and that bond you guys have built was present there, and like it like that was such a cool event. That was such a cool show.
I'm
Um,
so excited
so
to see them again.
with the Algiers, those guys
Yes.
are incredible. I came across them and then I saw you guys were opening for them in Cleveland. I'm like, you guys are doing it. Like I don't you get bands can tour all around and like as a band that tours, I kind of know it's hit or miss and it's you really trying to
Mm-hmm.
get by and meet and connect. So I respect the hustle and the road dog and like mentality and going out there and doing it. But when you can hop on a bill in your hometown with a badass band like the Algiers, now you're doing something. And like they're so amazing. How'd that come about and like did you get to hang out with them and like how was it? I didn't know you toured with them, but how was touring with them?
Oh my God, it's a whole love story. So we ended up opening for them at Grog when they came here.
Yeah.
I want to say in 2016 or 2017. I want to say 2016. Um, it might not have been that soon, but we ended up opening for them, and it was so amazing because we got to sound check, and they were sound checking, and their bassist, and also um, he writes a lot of the music as well. Ryan, he walks over to us to Latoya and I and says, "Hi, my name's Ryan. What's your name?" And we're like, "We're Kyle and Latoya." And he's like, "Oh, cool. Nice to meet you." And then he's like, "We'll talk soon. Gotta finish sound check." And like walks back on stage. And it was an instant connection. And we saw them perform and we fell in love. And so we ended up inviting them to back to the studio where we were rehearsing for a while at that time at God to Culture, where God to Culture was on 52nd and Lorraine. And we hung out on the back porch and talked and laughed. And probably like a day later, their road manager was reaching out to us like, "Hey, would you guys be interested in touring with them?" And we're like, "Yeah, okay." And we ended up going on a tour with them. And it was like, the relationship just got even better. And we toured with them for the Southern tour. And then their most recent album, There Is No Year, Latoya and I were invited to New York to record.
Whoa.
Record on their album for their single Dispossession. And we were able to just connect even more and love on them and support them. And then as soon as I got back from Paris, I got an email from their manager asking Latoya and I to come and perform on the Stephen Colbert show. So we went out there and we were able to do that. So
Wow.
it's been crazy. It's been a crazy ride.
That's so cool. So
yeah, it's been beautiful.
That single's out. I'll tag that in this too.
That single's out, and their album is also out. I'm sorry. So just to be able to listen to that work, that piece of work, and know that like I was able to be a part of that, and that they were gracious enough to invite us and even invite us to do the Colbert show with them. Was such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram, and I was gonna ask you about it, but I didn't know the context of it. Like maybe I didn't read it right and didn't see Algiers tagged in it. But wow,
I didn't post a lot of information about it because at the time we weren't allowed to really post about it, and I wanted to be respectful of Algiers. That was their big moment, and I didn't want to announce, before they had the opportunity to announce. But they were like, "Go ahead and any pictures you want to post." So everybody was kind of upset, like, "Well, what's happening? Like, what's going on?" And I couldn't really say much until they went live with it. So,
wow, that's so cool. Like
it was fun. Wow. It was so fun.
Wow. And okay, so when that actually posted, or that actually happened though, like, right?
Yes.
That's
yes.
I can
that
tag
aired.
That performance too. Okay.
Yep, that aired already. So anyone can go see it and view it. It was an amazing experience. Stephen Colbert is amazing.
Did you get to meet him and stuff? Was he?
I did. He was very, very kind.
Was he the character or was he the guy?
He was the guy. He was like very genuine and very nice. He approached everybody right before, like literally 10 seconds before we went live.
No pressure.
And he walks up and he's like, "Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for being here, blah, blah." And I'm like looking at him like, okay, now I don't remember my words, like my lyrics. So, but it was a great experience, and he was very graceful, and everybody on set, who's a part of the Stephen Colbert show, was so graceful and so kind. As well as Matador Records, that's Algiers record label. They were just very gracious with us and so sweet.
Wow, that's amazing. That is so, because like I looked up your name and put Colbert after it, and I wasn't finding anything, and that's why.
Oh yeah, no, because it was with Algiers.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But I'm coming soon. I'll be on there soon.
Hell yeah. Was it so? When you're primarily playing solo, are you doing the opera stuff?
So I'm doing both. I'm doing the opera, or the operas that I've been doing with Richard Kennedy, and then I also have my solo division, which is just Kyle Kidd, and I always say Kyle Kidd and Company because I have all these amazing independent musicians who have agreed to be a part of what I'm trying to do, and they're always interchanging. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll have a cello, someone playing cello, and then I always have Pete Sadek, who is also a part of Mourning a Black Star,
Nice.
um, but he's playing guitar, and we've collaborated together and composed and written these songs together. What I'm doing in my solo division. So he's always there, but we have Teresa May, who's playing trumpet, and Leah Hohenfeld, who is our flautist. So it's been a thing.
I think I've seen some clips from Guide the Culture. Like, was there a show there that you guys did with that layout? I think my friend Joe Rangel, he played with not Alexa, Boyd. I can't think of her name right now.
Alyssa Boyd.
Alyssa Boyd, thank you.
That might have been Mourning a Black Star. That was
Okay,
not
that wasn't
me.
you.
That wasn't Mourning a Black. I mean, that wasn't me and my solo division. But we've been around Cleveland. I just recently, after I came back from Paris, I had the great opportunity of doing the Rock Hall for Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah, I saw that on your gram too. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was like the one thing that brought me back to the States, because I would have stayed in Europe. But I was excited, very, very excited to do that. So we did that, and I don't know, we've done a few different things around the city. So
yeah. Was it
yeah.
how was the Europe as an experience from going from here to there?
Oh, it was so fabulous. It was so amazing. It was great to see so many people like just going about their way, doing what they're doing, different from what I'm used to here at home in the Midwest in Cleveland. And then the stares, they're stopping and staring. And it was so funny. People were like stopping and saying, "Can I take a picture with you?" And like, "Oh my God." Like, and I'm just looking like, okay, sure. So that was a funny experience. And, it was cool. It was a great experience.
I've always wanted to go out of the country and like just see how like life is somewhere else, and with the goal of playing a show. So you're living one of my dreams for sure. That's amazing.
I mean, listen, you should. I encourage anybody, like, if you have the opportunity, take it to, whether it's going to France or to Spain, wherever you're gonna go. It's worth it, because you get a very broad idea, or a different experience of how other people live, and the beauty of how they live in different cultures. And they were all just, like I said, they were all just so fabulous. And I'm a soul singer, so I went to, the funny story. I was in a restaurant the last day of filming. We closed up filming, and we decided to all go to dinner together. And we're at the restaurant, and our waiter is talking, and he's like, "So are you all like?" Now everybody in the restaurant is staring at us, and so we're just like, "Oh my God, this is so weird." And so the waiter comes over, and he's like, "Yeah, so like, are you all like performers, or like, what do you do?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, we're filming a movie, blah blah blah." And everybody at the table is like, "And Kyle's a singer." And I'm like, "What are you all like? What is happening here?" And so he's like, "All right, well, you got to sing us a song." And so like the owner of the restaurant walks over, and all these people are like, "Yeah, sing a song." So I sing, and
what did you sing?
Table. I sang one of my favorite songs, "Summertime" from Porgy and Bess.
Nice.
And the table behind us turns around, and I look up, and Cara Delevingne is at the table behind us, and she walks over, and she's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Kyle. Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm Cara." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And it turned into a full night of partying with Cara Delevingne.
Wow.
And I missed my flight back to the States. And so I ended up in Paris for an extra day.
That's so cool.
But like the whole experience was like that, like just kind of like dropping whatever you came in with as an expectation, and kind of going with it. And it was beautiful. It was just so fun, and they were so open, and just open to receiving everything that we were there to offer and do. And it was so good.
That's amazing. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
trying to get working the flight thing had to suck. Figuring that out the next
Yeah,
day.
that was like kind of very much, it sucked a lot. Like my mother like yelled at me for a little bit, and but I made it home. That was the biggest thing,
True,
making it
true.
home. So it was
Wow,
good.
that's so cool. Like every story you've told me has been just like blowing my mind. I'm excited to keep you. Tell me more.
Listen, my life
That's
is
so
is
cool.
very it could be very dramatic, but I've learned to live with it.
Well,
So
it seems to just jump from minute to minute. So I met, which is much good. There's got to be some stuff that sucks, but man, the good's been like incredible.
I mean, the parts that suck, I kind of just take them as they come, and either I can sit around and be like, oh my god, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, or I can say this sucks, but I'm gonna do what the hell I need to do with it to make it work in my favor if possible. And that's just kind of the position that I've chosen to take, because
My phone.
there are always struggles, especially when you're an independent artist. Your work, the work that you do, solely depends on you getting booked, and also people liking it to invite you back to do
For
it and
sure.
things like that. So
It,
you're this experience as an artist, any kind of artist, any kind of art you make, it humbles you, um, to see the simpler things as just as good,
for
and the
sure.
bad
For
things
sure.
is just as good.
And I
So
think when you're working with booking, it doesn't even, you can be amazing. And a part of the degree of you getting booked back isn't necessarily musical talent or anything you bring to the table. It's, did you convey the public to, or persuade the public to come see you? And
yeah,
like, that's one thing as an artist, or at least performing artist, you have basically no control over how people react. You have no
nope.
control over how they define the experience of seeing you. You have no control over how they show up or if they do. So all you can do is go there and keep swinging. And I think what you said is solid advice. Another.
Yeah, well, and also, like I don't solely depend on people to necessarily like what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah,
doing it also because it's what I feel like I need to do in order to live and in order to feel whole. So, it's a both and there, depending on, what your intentions are. But I'm just kind of doing what feels right for me.
yeah,
And it might strike gold, and it might, you know, just be silver. I don't know.
yeah, for sure. But that
So,
kind of goes back to what we said earlier. There's enough room for everyone to, to do what they do and be appreciated to the max that they can be appreciated to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's why I feel like community is so important, because, at the end of the day, no matter what the masses think of what you're doing, your community, when it's solid and very supportive, you always have that to come back to.
Yeah,
So, I always tell people, everybody, everywhere that I've gone, whether it's New York or Chicago or, Europe, everyone's always asking me, like, well, what's Cleveland like? What's
yeah,
Cleveland like? And, my consistent thing is like, one thing that I love about our scene, although at times it can be divided, is like we all show up and support
for
one
sure.
another when we can. And I know that's not the truth of a lot of places, especially places like New York and LA and Atlanta, where everybody is an artist and, trying to like figure out what lane is for them, or,
For sure. For
so
sure.
I appreciate that.
And it is weird because like with Sea Level, we haven't done it as like a full tour like Mourning and BLKstar has done, but we do weekend warrior dashes. And
Oh,
like,
nice.
so I'll pick a state, book a couple shows, we'll dart out, do those, come back, or I'll do it myself, and then like 2 months later, I bring the band back, or a month. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right, right.
just trying to be a little strategic because, like how you're saying, housing and all that is a big deal and makes it a real hustle to get
Yeah.
through it. But when people ask me about what Cleveland's like, it's pretty much exactly what you said because New York is such a big, vast place that it's hard to latch on to anyone's attention anywhere within
Yeah.
that grid because there's so much going on as it is. And like,
Yeah. And everybody wants to make it,
oh, for sure.
whatever making it means. Everybody has this idea of like making it.
Yeah,
And like you said earlier, like there's room for all of us to have have our own collective space. But so a lot of people, I feel, sometimes lose sight of that
Yeah.
in the process. And so, yeah, I don't know. It gets weird, and I'm glad that I can say that Cleveland, we in Cleveland, of the people, artists that I know and that I'm connected to, we try and support one another as much as we can, even if it means sharing um, content or sharing a post saying a friend's album is out with our, with our immediate network and things like that.
Yeah, no, like the biggest thing a big artist can do for a local artist is share their thing, even if they don't like it. You know what I mean? Like if the Rolling Stones shared "Morning in Black," you know what I mean? Like that would
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Just the little acknowledgement from like a big full time, it's a big thing. And like I've been on this Joe Strummer kick lately, so I'm bringing up a bunch of quotes. But he's got this quote about "Without people, you're nothing." And the more I've been doing these interviews and online just things, and like that's never rang truer than now. And
It's a
like,
real thing.
and I think that's it. I think that's so cool that you guys find that so important, and keep that in foresight of the band and individually.
Yeah, well, and I think it also comes back to knowing where you came from and knowing how um, made it to, made it over those humps
Yeah,
that we may have had and that we're going to continue to have. But Cleveland and has been so good to us, as along with other places. Like as we ventured out,
yeah,
all of our friends and family in Chicago and New York, and just on the East Coast, period, in the Midwest and
yeah.
Columbus. Like we have very, very, very great support from people that we love, and that makes all the difference. So yeah, like when you have your people and they're putting on for you, it makes a world of a difference,
100%. And like,
and it makes you want to keep going.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you have one decent show, let's say you do a run, like the first show, 3 shows are like because they're on Wednesday to Friday. The
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday night, the Thursday night sucks, but you get to the third Friday gig and it's good, and you're like, yes, let's keep going, 2 more weeks.
Yeah, 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 and it's been like that for us. Like we might not feel 100% like totally sold, and this is with Mourning a Black Star and solo things that I've been doing. We may not feel 100% like, oh, like that was the best show, but when you get back to why you're doing it, and the music we create is for the community and telling the truth of that be within our society right now. A lot of our music is surrounded around that, and just love. And once you get back to the basics of that, you feel this nudge of encouragement to say, listen, it might not have been the best, but there's still a message to be had here. And if we can get one person to feel something, whatever that emotion may be,
Yeah,
then we're doing it right.
100%,
um
100%.
so yeah.
Do you side note? Do you know the Robin Blake Sound Experiment crew?
I do. I
Okay.
know Robin.
Okay, cool. Because like I was playing with Robin for a while. I was their sub guitar player when Joe couldn't make it,
Mm-hmm.
and before Seth came back in. Um, so I was playing with him for a bit. And did you? I don't think. I remember he was trying to get Mourning a Black Star to do one of the Curation Fest. I don't.
Yes.
I don't think it came to fruition for the last two.
For some reason, if I remember right, because I don't do booking, but
Yeah.
but I talked to Robin like here and there. It was just like probably like booking conflicts of
Gotcha.
us either having something already or being out of town or something like that. But I love Robin. I
He's the
love,
best. He's so
oh my god,
talented.
like just a sweet person, and always encouraging and always supportive. Um, and I just think just one of the most talented musicians in Cleveland.
That's okay.
So yeah.
That's another connection I wanted to make. Cause I remember the first Curation Fest. I've played it solo for
Mm-hmm.
all of them, and then the last one, my band played it, and then I also played with Robin that night. And like we, what was I gonna say? The first one was for a benefit for the LGBTQ for what your first job was, or the job that you
Yeah,
left. And
yeah.
at that time, I think it lined up. Were you still there?
If the first one, let me see, the first one would have been in 2018. Yeah, because right,
Think
2018. So I would have I left the LGBT center March of 2018. I want to say it was March of 2018 because this would mark my second year. Yeah, so
okay,
I would have been there in March,
okay.
and yeah.
Oh man, I wonder. He probably talked to you. That's so cool. Okay, yeah, that guy, Robin's the best. I just wanted to make that connection.
Yeah, well, and I'm still very much connected with the LGBT center. So
Yeah,
we might have probably had conversation about, um, you know, that it being a benefit for the LGBT center and things like that. So,
gotcha. Ah, cool. And one thing before we kind of wrap up here, I wanted to ask you about, because as well as being a teacher, I'm a full time performer as well. I do a lot of acoustic stuff, and then I front a band.
mm-hmm,
So I spend a lot of time singing and talking, and I noticed you had a couple posts about losing your voice, and like,
mm-hmm.
I to say I'm a singer compared to what you do is insane because like,
Stop.
no, I mean it because you rip and like, but when you're full out and you go all for it. What's the recovery process look like for you when you do lose your voice?
uh, First and foremost, you got to be disciplined.
Yeah,
I steam a lot. I have to do steam therapy. I have to. It's all about diet.
yeah,
Canceling out dairy and making sure that I'm really committed to just staying within my routine and getting rest.
gotcha.
Like I said, like I'm always going, 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 going. I don't know how to sit down. So like telling myself that I need to sit down, take some time to rest, not talk to anyone. I have to totally isolate myself. When we're touring, or when I'm on the road, I have a mobile steamer that I take with me. So before shows, I'm steaming. After shows, I'm steaming, just because it's a muscle. And
Yeah,
once you do work with your muscles, you have to give it some type of therapy. And so it's just really me being disciplined. And so when I lost my voice, I was not following through with what I needed to necessarily be doing to take care of myself, because I also want to always make sure that I'm following through with the things that I say I'm going to do. So I kind of stressed it. So it probably took longer for me to recover because I wasn't doing what I needed to do, um, from a
from the rip, kind of.
from the rip. And I've talked to a bunch of vocal professionals, and all of them who I have relationships with, and they're on the on one end giving great information, like, yeah, this is what you should do, but then also them knowing me personally are like, I know you're not taking care of yourself and you're probably still whispering and da 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 da. So but that's really my biggest thing. And just trying to make sure that for me, also a big piece of it is making sure that I'm singing the truth,
Gotcha.
and being honest about, I'm making sure I really understand all the things that I'm singing about. That is a big thing for me as well. So,
One thing if I can quote you, you said sometimes you get caught up in the spirit of truth,
mm-hmm,
and like that resonated with me. I was like, that's profound, and I think that goes into exactly what you just said. That if that's your practice and that's like
mm-hmm,
your state of just well being when you are singing, that you're coming from that.
mm-hmm.
That's profound. That's amazing.
And I think sometimes we get caught up, depending on, going back to the idea of what we were saying about like making it and wanting to make music that everybody loves. We get caught up in like the fads of being trendy and being all of this, which is fine too, but just make sure the truth of who you are is still in it. And that's something that I try and stay grounded in every day as much as possible. Because I get asked to do a lot of different things, like, oh, will you
Clearly,
sing on this
clearly,
track, and will you sing this song, and will you record this? And I always have to take time and find myself within it, in order to make sure that I'm revealing the truth of, where I stand in that. And if I can't find the truth, I can't sing it.
true.
So
That's amazing. Well, that's a I guess as far as like being someone where you are getting all these offers and like it's hard a lot of times I think for people to say no. I don't know if this is like you probably would know more because you've had more travel abroad, but like I don't know if it's an American thing. Like most people, are like yes, okay, all right, I'll do it just to do
Mm-hmm.
it type of deal. And like to step back and say no, and to go back to the self care, like and sticking to the self care is, I think it's a really profound skill to develop and a muscle to have within yourself. And I think if anything comes from this madness of being locked with ourselves, hopefully people start to develop that.
Well, no, I still struggle saying no, because a lot of the people who are asking me are friends, and I have personal relationships with them. But for me, it now has come back to as well. Like I've pushed some of my personal projects or things that I want to embark on to the side. Um, and put other people first, and now I'm at that point where I can honestly have a genuine conversation with someone and say, hey, I would love to do this, but right now I can't because I have to put me first in this situation to make sure that I'm continuing on with my personal projects and seeing them through. So I still struggle with it now, and
Yeah.
a lot of times I'm always like, yes, 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 yes.
What is it?
So
Well, before we wrap up here, what do you got coming out? Do you got anything coming out that you can plug here, if I may enter the realm of plug?
So I'm going to say this. I can't reveal everything that I would love to be able to share with you now, but I have a lot of things coming. I'm still working on my EP, which is going to come soon. I'm just kind of like really trying to figure out how to hone it in. But I want to encourage everybody to follow me on Facebook, which is just my name, Kyle Kidd, and then my Instagram, which is at Kyle Kidd Music. Or check out my website kylekid.com, as well as my Patreon to support me, and follow what's happening. So then I have a YouTube page.
Gotcha. You're doing it. You got it. Everything. I was about to say the Patreon, but with there's another thing I wanted to ask you about before.
Yes,
the Bernie rally that got canceled, right?
Yes, literally like 5 minutes before we walked on for our sound check, they were like, the governor shut everything down, so it's not happening.
But the hype behind that had to be sweet. That had to be like exciting.
It was amazing. And then to know that we had it and we couldn't say anything for a while. It was amazing. And I was very excited to like meet him and just, be a part of that experience. Not necessarily like trying to take a political position and saying, I'm endorsing this candidate or whatever. It was more so just the idea of having the ability to have a position. And I felt like us as Mourning a Black Star together as a unit, it was more of just encouraging people to rally behind what they believe in.
Yeah.
And having the ability to have that voice, because, the majority of Mourning a Black Star are, of African American, are African Americans. And there was a point in time in our history where African Americans weren't seen as a whole person and were not able to vote or even exercise their voice of saying, I would love to endorse this candidate, whoever it may have been. So that in itself was a moment that, was very important and powerful for each of us individually in our lives. So that was, it was a sad moment, but at the same time, I'm glad that, us as a state, and our governor chose to take the precautions that he took, because, here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and Ohio is, supposedly we're doing pretty well as far as like our response. So, but there will be more times. There will be more times to have opportunities like that. So,
and the fact that you guys were offered it and took it with that much responsibility and that took it that close to heart, it just shows how more opportunities like that are going to come your guys' way, and you're going to be as equally responsible and proactive about it, and like
I hope.
that. So that's a bummer it got canceled, but that's awesome that you guys got the offer and like
Yeah. Like I was talking to the guy who put it on and he was saying like so many people had sent all these different bands and he was like, and then you all just came across my table and I like kind of just shut it down immediately, everybody. And I was like, this is the band that's gonna perform. And I
hell
was like,
yeah.
oh my God, thanks. And so it was a great experience to hear, that from their team and everything.
So cool. Well, all right. So another, you've been with your Patreon, just so people know, you do got content on there that you have to.
Yes.
There's stuff on there that you can't just see. You got to pay to see it, like the Beyonce
Yeah.
bloopers, which sounds awesome.
Yes. Yes. So we have our Patreon up. It's still very, very new. But we do have a few patrons on there who are keeping up with us. We're only asking $5, but you are not limited to just $5. You can pledge as much as you want, but we have so much content that we are sifting through right now that we're just going to be posting. And when my EP is available and the singles that are going to go with my EP and some other things that I'm working on, they're going to be there available first. So all of our patrons will have early access to any music that I'm putting out, as well as
Beautiful.
any video content that I'm going to be putting out. And then I'll be also uploading stories from my travels, my international travels as well during the operas. So
Wow, that's
please,
awesome.
please, if you are interested in supporting, that is the best way to support me because I am an independent artist and I'm doing this myself. Like whatever is in my pocket is what I have to put forward in order to continue to create my art. So community means everything to me, and I want to, be a true representation of if a community rallies behind what they believe in, this is what it can look like.
Well, that's beautiful, and I think well said, and I think that's what we'll leave it on. That's so Patreon, the Friday 8 o'clock virtual CLE, your house, Kyle Kidd, Casey Berger.
Yes,
I had
you
it
got
right. I had it right when I interviewed him, and then like
Yes.
that little thing above the G that threw me for the whole time, and
Yes.
but yeah, he's awesome. If you're looking for LA stuff, you should talk to him.
So talented,
So
amazing
awesome! It's
artist.
going to be an amazing show. Tune in, friends. Kyle, thank you so much for your time. This has been great. This has been
Thank you.
awesome.
It has been. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. And thank you for what you're doing, keeping people connected to local artists and what's happening and what they can be involved in as we're all going through this very uncertain time right now. But this is what makes it worth it and keeps us all together. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thanks. All right, Kyle. Well, I will see you Friday.
Yes, you have a good one
Thank you.
and
You too.
be well.
Likewise.
Have a good one. Bye bye.
Later.